In this video, you will learn how to add fractions with different denominators. For example, let us add 7 over 30 plus 3 over 70. Before I show you how to add two fractions with different denominators, I'm going to remind you how to add fractions with like denominators. For example, if you have the fraction 3 over 7 plus 2 over 7, notice that the two fractions have the same denominator. How do we add them? We simply add the numerators and keep the same denominator. So 2 over 7 plus 3 over 7 equals 5 over 7. However, this is not the case in our example. The two fractions have different denominators. The first one has 30 as its denominator and the second one has 70 as its denominator. In order to add the two fractions with different denominators, we need to find what we call the least common denominator and then rewrite the two fractions using the least common denominator. Here is how we find the least common denominator, in this case of 30 and 70. We use the abbreviation LCD to refer to the least common denominator. So I will show you how to find the least common denominator of 30 and 70. First of all, you need to list the denominators and draw an upside down division symbol. So like that, 30, 70, and upside down division symbol. Now, ask yourself, is there a common prime factor of 30 and 70 that we can think of? The smallest prime factor that I can think of here is 2. 2 goes into 30 15 times, so I write 15 down here. And 2 goes into 70 35 times. 70 divided by 2 is 35. Now, repeat the same step. We have 15 and 35. Is there a common prime factor that goes into 15 and 35? The smallest one that I can think of is 5. 5 goes into 15 3 times, and 5 goes into 35 7 times. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 35 divided by 5 is 7. Now let's repeat the step. Well, for 3 and 7, the only factor, the common factor, is 1. So we end the division right here. And now I'm ready to show you what the least common denominator is. Remember, we started with the letter L, least common denominator. And here is your least common denominator. I'm going to circle those numbers using the letter L. Don't forget about the letter L. The numbers inside the letter L make up your least common denominator. So you just multiply the numbers to derive your least common denominator. So the LCD of 30 and 70 equals 2 times 5 times 3 times 7, which is 2 times 5, 10, times 3, 30, times 7 is 210. Now I'm ready to show you how to rewrite the two fractions using the least common denominator of 210. So we have 7 over 30 plus 3 over 70 equals. So we're going to rewrite the two fractions using the least common denominator of 210. Okay, notice here, if I multiply 30 times 7, I get 210. And whatever you do in the denominator, you must do in the numerator, so the fraction does not change. 30 times 7 is 210, and 7 times 7 is 49. Let's look at 70. 70 times what will give me 210? 70 times 3. That's 210. Whatever you do in the denominator, you must do in the numerator, so the fraction does not change. 3 times 3 is 9. Now notice, I have two fractions that have the same denominator. As I mentioned earlier, if you have two fractions that have the same denominator, you can simply add up the numerator and you will get your answer. So 49 over 210 plus 9 over 210 equals, the denominator remains the same, which is 210, and 49 plus 9, which is 49 plus 9 is 58 over 210. We will usually ask you to write your answer in simplest form. So the question is, can we reduce the answer of 58 over 210? Let's see. The question is, do 58 and 210 have a greatest common factor other than 1? Well, notice I can write 58 as 29 times 2, and 210 is an even number as well, so I can divide it by 2. If I divide it by 2, I get 105 times 2. Let me write this down. So 58 is 29 times 2. 210 is 105 times 2. I can reduce by 2 and reduce by 2. And my answer is 29 divided by 105. This is the final answer.